Hi students, just providing another tutorial video here. This one is on discussions, and so you're going to have at least one discussion board each week, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through my expectations here. They're all set up in the same way. You're going to have the reading that's attached here as a PDF. You click on that. That will download the PDF, and you can click here to access the text. You're going to read the text. These are pretty short readings, but you're going to have to read them slowly and carefully in order to be able to discuss them in depth and to learn something about the historical period that they speak to and that they're from. At the end of each reading, you'll find a series of study questions. And typically, you're going to have to answer one or two questions as part of your initial post to the discussion board. So, once you finish the reading, write up your answers to the questions, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to make your post. So you're going to hit reply here, and then you're going to paste the answers to the questions that you've written. Now, before you do that, I highly encourage you to consult the rubric, which you can access up here, the three little dots at the top of the screen gives you an option for Show Rubric, and this shows you the different categories that I'm going to use to grade your discussion. And so I'm just going to go through some of these now, just so you know how this discussion is going to be graded. Timeliness. This is a discussion. It's not an assignment, so that means that if you want to have full credit, if we want to really benefit from this opportunity to discuss these sources with one another, you can't simply upload at 11:30 the night before it's due and then find two quick posts to comment on and then call it quits. Your discussion board is done in about 10 minutes or so. So I expect to see that your initial post will be made on Thursday. And so these posts are due by the end of the day on Saturday. So at least by Thursday, you will have made your initial response to the reading. And you need to do that in order to gain full credit for timeliness. I need to see that you're using the readings and any other resources. If it's an audio file that you're responding to, for example, I need to see that you're using the readings. So at least one direct quotation from the source in your post. As I've written here, make sure your post is of a reasonable length. You should think in terms of at least writing 150 words if you want to get full credit. Your initial post should be about 150 words. Make sure you include at least one direct quotation from the source, shows that you're using the source. Connect the source to whatever we're discussing at the time. So this is a discussion to do with the Neolithic Revolution, so make sure you connect what you're saying about the Epic of Gilgamesh, the reading that we're analyzing here, with what you're learning about the Neolithic Revolution. If it's a text from ancient Greece, make sure you're connecting what you're learning from that specific text to what you're learning more broadly from ancient Greece. You see that Enkidu is domesticated in the Epic of Gilgamesh in this way. This is probably reflecting a similar pattern that we're learning about in the PowerPoint or in the lecture videos. So that's how you're connecting the reading, what's going on with Enkidu, with what we're learning more broadly. So make sure you do that in order to earn full points for context. Stylistics, pretty straightforward. Make sure you spell things correctly. Make sure you're using correct and readable grammar. And then comments. I have two serious complaints that typically surface with comments on discussion boards. The first is comments that are more like compliments, where they say, "Oh, this post was so wonderful. You did such a great job." And then that's it. That's not what we're looking for here. What we're looking for is that you can advance the discussion. I see that you said this about this part of the source. Had you thought about this part of the source? How does that fit in? So I want to see in your comments, if you want to get full credit, that you're connecting the different parts of the source to one another, that you bring in a new part of the text into the discussion. Often encourage people to ask questions. That's a great comment. A question is a great comment. And my second, I guess, concern or long-held concern about comments on discussion boards connects to that. If someone asks a question, especially if it's me, and you're the next one to post on that thread, you need to acknowledge that question. You need to answer and acknowledge that question, and don't talk past the question. Oftentimes, I see someone's asked a really interesting question about the initial post. There's the foundation there for a great discussion, and the next person just blows right past it and ignores it. And that is not going to happen in this class. If someone has asked a question, then you need to respond to that question. You at least acknowledge that question. Hey, I think the answer might be this. Then if you want to go on and talk about something else, you can, but you must at least acknowledge that question. I think that covers pretty much everything. A lot of times I hear from students with the discussions that they're worried that the readings are difficult to understand and they're going to get something wrong. I completely understand that, but what I would say is a couple of things. First, you can always come talk to me, say, hey, want to kind of run some ideas by you before I post to the discussion board. That's fine. If you're leaving things to the last minute, of course, you'll struggle to be able to do that. And the other is that actually in your initial post, it's fine to get something not quite right. This is an assignment where we learn from discussing the reading with one another. So in that sense, if you post something to the discussion board and it's your initial post and you haven't got everything quite right, and then as long as I see you're engaged, as long as I see you're commenting regularly, then I see that you're saying, okay, I initially thought this, discussing with you has helped me clarify my opinion, now I actually have a different opinion about the text, gold star, full credit, well done. So I prioritize the discussion more than, quote unquote, getting everything right the first time. However, if you want to show that you're engaged in the discussion, that means that you're commenting regularly and extensively in the discussion. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. Okay, hope this is a helpful guide to discussions and expectations for discussions in my class. And let me know, of course, if you have any questions or I can help you in any way.